So console launches have been flaky in the past, to say the least, but there's a difference between a company launching a console with missing features, but then clarifying that they'll bring them later on, or at least acknowledging them, and a company that doesn't even respond to questions about basic features available to the console day one. I feel that Nintendo does the bare minimum when it comes to PR. At first with the Switch, the way they marketed it was way better than they did with the Wii U when it comes to marketing to the masses, the general audience, but for people like me who own multiple systems that have tons of tech gadgets and peripherals and people who mod their systems, we have all these options to choose from when it comes to gaming, and we want to compare features. Nintendo has a complete train wreck of a track record when it comes to being clear about all of their systems and their features on launch week. So I'm going to list some of the fuck-ups, 7 in particular, that I found with the Switch launch. Fuck up the first. Storage options. Only one micro SD card slot up to 256 gigs. If you want a 256 gig card to hopefully keep all your worries away, well, I got bad news for you. Those particular cards cost a lot of money. You could have a case full of SD cards, but I think that's still absolutely ridiculous. But what's worse is there's absolutely, right now, no external hard drive support. With only 32 gigs of onboard storage, that's pretty fucked if you want to download any games. Not that you probably would want to anyway because of reason number 2. Fuck up the second. General online profiles. While I'm not too concerned with Nintendo's online gaming network, I doubt it'll be flaky since gaming online on the Wii U wasn't that bad. There are still issues that Nintendo hasn't fixed or addressed since the Wii U. We don't know if our previous generation of purchases will transfer over, and because they are by default locked to the consoles instead of our profile, there will be a time where my Wii U will stop working and I might never have access to anything that I bought digitally on it. For some games, if you want to have multiple playthrough saves, like Zelda, you have to have a separate profile, which is really stupid. There is also the issue of backing up your save data. Not only can you not back up your saves to something like an SD card, but there is no cloud saving system whatsoever. Nintendo promised this all the way back for the Wii U, and it still never got it. Meanwhile, here they seem not to even have mentioned anything, so they probably just have given up on cloud saves altogether. We're going to have to keep waiting and waiting until hopefully they address it in some way, but somehow I doubt it, considering, again, we waited 3 years for the Wii U and it didn't get it at all. Number 3, audio fuck puppetry. So the Switch has some rather confusing press releases when it comes to the system outputting audio. Firstly, there is no headphone jack on the Switch Pro controller, so if you want to rock out with a pair of headphones while the Switch is in its dock mode, you will need some kind of external device that will take the HDMI audio signal and split it into a headphone jack, which you still need a long extension cable to run it from your Switch to that device to your headset, depending on the size of your game area. So you might think, okay, what about Bluetooth? The Switch does support Bluetooth 4.1. That's great, but it doesn't let you use any Bluetooth headsets. Are you actually shitting me? The Vita launched in early 2012 in the States, and it had support for Bluetooth headsets. Every smartphone I can think of in the last 5 years has had Bluetooth support out of the gate. There is also the big issue of having to use a separate app for the voice chat that Nintendo has on multiple occasions given conflicting info about. I'll talk about this maybe more when they actually release the online functionality of the Switch later on, but for now it's incredibly confusing. And furthermore, to get on the point, if they are still using this app, now a lot of you will say that people use Skype or Discord anyway for voice chat, so the app doesn't matter to them. But that's primarily when you have a group of friends to play with. You still might want to communicate to other players in-game that you're not, super buddy-buddy with. Even so, sometimes I just want to get home from a long day at work and play with some friends through the Switch's online network, but my phone is dead, so what if I just want to use the system's chat? Guess I'm shit out of luck. Number 4, dock fuck puppetry. The Switch dock is proprietary. It's a glorified USB hub given the $90 price tag. It's a bit outrageous, especially considering it has no optical audio output for people with home speaker systems and no Ethernet jack. But despite being USB Type-C, the Switch seems to have some kind of lockout chip for video and audio transfer. So if you are low on cash and you want to buy a used Switch system but don't want the dock but still want to game on your TV, you're shit out of luck, as no third-party USB Type-C to HDMI cables will work with the system. Now, this wouldn't all be doom and gloom if it wasn't for the fact that many users are reporting that the Switch dock is scratching up their Switch system. which is kind of crazy when you think about it. It's a $300 system, and yet it reportedly doesn't use Corning's Gorilla Glass. It just uses this cheaper plastic over the screen. Number 5, battery life, or the showcasing of battery life. Well, I wasn't too surprised with the battery life, and I am optimistic for firmware updates and games that were built for the Switch's architecture in mind. Nintendo at least picked a pretty poor heavyweight example to showcase the Switch's battery life at launch. Nothing against the game itself, Zelda Breath of the Wild that is, but Nintendo really flubbed with the Switch's PR in this one. Most people now have the impression that the best the Switch has to offer in terms of technically impressive, high-quality game titles will only be playable for about 3 hours. I hope that firmware updates and later titles specifically developed for the Switch and not just Wii U ports will be a lot better, but it's a real difficult thing to convince people to buy the Switch now when they see, oh god, only 3 hours on the go, whereas my 3DS will give me 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 hours at a time. Not really impressed. Number 6, legacy device support. Now, I hope to God this changes, but for now, you basically have no way of using any of your previous generations of Nintendo peripherals, like Wiimotes, Nunchucks, Pro Controllers, Classic Controllers, and GameCube controllers. Now, if they gave us more information of what they would be supporting in the future, that would be fine, but again, no word on it at all. Number 7, finally, and probably the most important one. No proper online services until fall 2017. Such as Marketplace and Virtual Console. Why doesn't it surprise me that the only big company of the 3 main console makers have been behind the times and often late with online capabilities for 16 years? Yes, 16 years since the GameCube, Nintendo has never been able to catch up or learn. I don't want to hear that it's been an uphill battle for Nintendo and they've been working ever so hard. Microsoft got that shit right the first time in 2001 with the original Xbox, and the PlayStation 3 even had a better online infrastructure than the Wii U did. Now, let me set the record straight. I have been playing on Nintendo systems since 1999 with the Game Boy Color. I want Nintendo to succeed, and I am sure that some of these flaws will be ironed out. But here, again, is the problem with Nintendo. Most of the time, despite Nintendo having features built into the console that would take a simple software update to utilize them, they still don't do it. I know this because people modded their Wii U systems to do what Nintendo should have done to them. The Wii U can technically run GameCube titles with a bit of software modding, but Nintendo refused to capitalize on this. And as previously mentioned, despite having Bluetooth 4.1 built into the Switch, it doesn't support Bluetooth headsets. The Wii also didn't allow you to play Wii titles that supported gamepads on the Wii U's tablet controller. You could have the game playing on the screen, but Nintendo wouldn't allow you to use the screen's controls, despite it being incredibly easy to have those buttons just simply emulate a classic controller or GameCube controller config. It's really frustrating that people have been forced to basically mod their consoles, and oftentimes fairly easily, just to get them to have these little quality of life improvements that Nintendo could easily implement into their systems. There's probably way more issues that people are having with the Switch who have gotten their hands on them and tried them out, but these are all the assessments that I found online. I'm not even talking about how the controllers feel or how the screen is or anything like that. These are just out of the gate the reasons why I'm pretty much not going to be buying a Switch at launch, and probably not till December, maybe. And it's not mostly because of the lack of features, even though I said it partly was. It's because I don't want to keep supporting a company that has been doing these boneheaded, asinine decisions for the past 11 years since the Wii. And I'm getting really tired of it. I'm getting tired of how all these people keep defending Nintendo, and Nintendo just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and you wonder, okay, well, why is Nintendo still doing all this stuff? Well, people keep defending it. No one wants to criticize them anymore because they don't have the energy to deal with these people. These crazy-ass people online. But hey, what are you gonna do? Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll have more videos in the coming weeks. I'll see you next time. I'm out.